You wanted to plan a truly accessible event, but where did it go wrong? You booked the perfect venue, lined up amazing food vendors, even secured an accessible toilet block. But on the day, attendees struggled to find key areas. Wheelchair users couldn't navigate the site, and parents left early because there was no safe space for children. Planning an accessible and inclusive outdoor event takes more than ticking a few boxes. And in this video, I want to walk you through 3 key areas to think about in relation to accessibility and inclusion at your events. So to create an event that everyone can enjoy, I've also created a checklist at the end of the video to help you get started. But first, what does accessibility and inclusion really mean in events? We've all heard the terms accessible, inclusive, and welcoming. But what do they actually mean when you're laying out a site plan? For accessibility, can people physically access the space? Includes but not limited to mobility, sight, or hearing. And for inclusion, do all guests feel safe, considered, and fully able to engage with your event? For example, a wheelchair accessible entrance isn't inclusive if it's tucked around the back near the bins, or if it's next to your other entrance lanes where the ground could get damaged by footfall if it's wet. With OnePlan, you can visualize entire layouts before you build them. You can map out routes, space out high footfall areas, and test whether paths are wide enough for wheelchairs or mobility scooters, all on a to-scale map. So let's discuss 3 areas where your site plan helps to make your event more accessible. First of all, designing an accessible site plan from the start. Now, we've discussed accessibility isn't something that you bolt on at the end, it's baked into your first layout decisions. Start with access routes. Is public transport nearby? Are drop-off points near to entrance gates? You want to be prioritising flat terrain or clearly marked pathways. For example, if you're planning in a park, are there any paths or hard surfaces that you can make best use of for accessibility purposes? Consider spacing out infrastructure like toilets, food, stages that avoids overcrowding. As an example, imagine an outdoor arts festival. You could place the accessibility toilets next to the family toilets, which help 2 key user groups at once, and it minimises walking distances. Drop and drag features in OnePlan let you build multiple versions of your layout, ideal for testing inclusive options. You can measure distances between stages and facilities and instantly see if a route is too long for someone with mobility challenges. Things you want to try and avoid is cramming infrastructure into tight areas, as this creates bottlenecks and not inclusive zones, or forgetting rest areas, especially for neurodivergent or elderly guests. The second area to consider is communicating access clearly before the event. Your event may be accessible, but if no one knows about it, they'll assume it's not. Some key takeaways here include adding an info page on accessibility to your website that has a sitemap, FAQs, and importantly, a contact. Also think about including pictures of facilities, not just words. This allows people to make their own judgments about their accessibility needs. Also consider offering multiple formats, so easy read, screen reader friendly, and translations if need be on your website. A common mistake is not training your staff or volunteers on what's available or how to help, and this will be invaluable on the day for those people accessing your site. Using OnePlan, you can generate and share your map with volunteers, staff, and guests, so everyone can see where accessible facilities are before they arrive. The third section I'd like to talk about is considering inclusive programming and considerate scheduling. So the physical layout is only half the battle, but let's talk about how your schedule and content can exclude or include people. You want to think about creating quiet zones or chill out areas. Think about sensory-friendly sessions or shorter experiences for families. Schedule performances with breaks and avoid overly packed agendas. As an example, a music festival could add a sign language interpreter to its main stage, and it could also program lower volume sessions earlier in the day. So, still think you can wing it? The most inclusive events aren't bigger, they're just better planned. So here's a checklist of actionable ideas to help you make your next event more accessible. Number 1. Step-free routes to all key areas. Step 2. Accessible toilets close to gathering points or meeting points. Step 3. Clearly marked viewing areas. Step 4. Create a quiet zone or sensory tent. Step 5. Have diverse food options that cater for a wide range of dietary and cultural requirements. Step 6. Pre-event communications with access information, including pictures. Step 7. Have friendly signage that includes icons and in multiple languages. Step 8. Make sure your volunteers have briefings on accessibility and inclusion. Step 9. Include shaded areas for seating and rest points. And step 10. On-the-day feedback channels. Think about including QR code surveys or signage. Want to plan this visually? OnePlan lets you place all items and labels for your guests and helps you to build inclusive routes that actually work. Planning for accessibility and inclusion isn't just good practice, it's good event design. When your site plan works for everyone, your event runs smoother, your audience grows, and people remember how welcome they felt. In this video, we've covered how to bake inclusion into your layout, communication, and programming. But here's the truth. It's an ongoing learning process. Every event is a chance to get better. Want to see how this looks in practice? Check out my video on how to design an event site plan for your first outdoor event using OnePlan. And comment below if you've seen great accessibility features at an event or if you've questions about planning your own. And don't forget, if you're ready to start mapping it all out, head to oneplan.io and start planning for free.